What did I do? What the heck happened to me? What am I? It was great. I loved every second of it. We laughed, though. We cried because of her. She gave her whole heart to Hollywood for more than 50 years. She brought fire, grace, and honesty to every part, from Gidget to Norma Ray to Forrest Gump. But now there's talk going on behind the scenes. Talks about how Sally is dealing with a major problem. Her health is becoming more and more of a worry, and her fans who have loved her for years are very scared. What is really going on? Does Sally Field no longer want to be in the spotlight? Come with us as we find out the truth about Sally's hardest part yet, from her painful past to her most recent heartbreaking news. Having a hard life behind the fame. She was born in Pasadena, California, on November 6, 1946. Mary Field, her mother, was an actor. As a kid, Sally's father, Richard Field, worked as a pharmacist and also served in World War II. They split up when she was young, in 1950. It was in Tijuana, Mexico in 1952 that her mother married Jock Mahoney. He played parts and did stunts. There was one brother named Richard Dryden Field Jr. who became a scientist. Sicily is where her family comes from on her dad's side. She was also part English and part Irish. After middle school, Sally went to Birmingham High School in Venice. She was a cheerleader when she was in school. Later, Michael Millen and Michael Owitz, two of her friends, became well known. They were a year apart. Cindy Williams was an actress. When she was at school, Sally seemed like any other girl, but things were very different at home. She told painful facts about her childhood in her 2018 book, In Pieces. She wrote that when she was a child, her husband, Jock Mahoney, abused her. She had to walk on his back when he called her into his room. He would then flip over and touch her as she walked over him. She wrote, "I walked up his chest with one foot in front of the other. My nightgown hung loosely around my legs as his hands moved up and over them. He kept whispering, 'Lower, lower,' and she tried to stay away. She wasn't sure what to think of it. It would have been one thing if he had held me down and read me, but he didn't. Was that love? Was that because he loved me?" She put in. The abuse stopped when she was 14, but she would always remember it. As an adult, she still felt that pain even as she became famous and rose to fame. Sally Field got her start in show business on TV. The comedic show Gidget, which ran from 1965 to 1966, gave her her first big part. After that, she was in The Flying Nun from 1967 to 1970, and The Girl with Something Extra from 1973 to 1974. But her first movie came out earlier. In 1962, she was an extra in the movie Moon Pilot. The Way West 1967, Stay Hungry 1976, Smokey and the Bandit 1977, Heroes 1977, The End 1978, and Hooper 1978 were some of the movies she was in. After that, with her role in Sybil in 1976, Sally became a major actress. The part was so strong that she won the Primetime Emmy Award for the TV movie. For the role of Norma Ray, she got her first Academy Award in 1979. For Places in the Heart, which came out in 1984, she won her second Oscar. These awards showed that she was more than just a TV star. She also played lead roles in popular films such as Absence of Malice, 1981, Kiss Me Goodbye, 1982, Murphy's Romance, 1985, Steel Magnolias, 1989, Soap Dish, 1991, and Mrs. There Was Doubtfire in 1993, and Forrest Gump in 1994. During the 2000s, she went back to TV. In 2001, she won another Emmy for her surprise appearance on ER. She played Nora Walker on the drama show Brothers and Sisters from 2006 to 2011, and she got an Emmy for that role too. In the 2012 movie Lincoln, she was nominated for another Oscar for her role as Mary Todd Lincoln. In 2012's The Amazing Spider-Man and 2014's The Amazing Spider-Man 2, she played Aunt May. Hello, My Name is Doris 2015. 80 for Brady, 2023, and the Netflix show Maniac 2018 are some of her other work. In the same vein, did you know that she also performed on stage? Her first show on Broadway was The Goat or Who is Sylvia, in 2002. She came back in 2017 with The Glass Menagerie, a show that got her a Tony nod. In 2019 she was also in All My Sons on London's West End. But even as her career took off, the pain from her past and new problems behind the scenes never went away. Hollywood brings back painful memories. Sally Field didn't always have it easy in movie land. In her autobiography she wrote that the singer Jimmy Webb abused her in 1968. They smoked together and then she fell asleep. When she woke up he was grinding on her. She was lost and blamed herself. She thought, maybe I asked for this by lying on his bed. What did he think? I might not have pulled my pants all the way up. As time went on, Jimmy Webb said that their connection was normal for people in their 20s. He didn't believe what she said, but that moment was real to Sally and she will always remember it. She also told about another scary thing that happened to her at a movie interview. She tried out for the movie Stay Hungry in 1976. Her boss, Bob Rafelson, told her that he would only hire someone who could kiss well, so she did. She wrote that it must have been fine. Rafelson denied what she said. He said no one ever had to kiss him to get away with something. But Sally stuck to her story again. A lot of young women in Hollywood had these kinds of experiences, but not many of them talked about them publicly. But Sally did it a very long time after the fact. More and more people saw the pain behind her success as she opened up. But she still had more to hide, a secret she couldn't share until later. Sally Field also talked about a private moment from her childhood that she had kept secret for many years. She found out she was pregnant when she was 17 years old, in 1964. In that moment she was about to start her first big TV part in Gig. She had an abortion in Mexico which was set up by her dad, the same person who had abused her. In those days it was against the law in the US to have an abortion. She took her mother and a family friend with her. She never said what the boy's name was, but she did say that they met right after she graduated from high school. After that she kept the event a secret and went on with her work. She later spoke out in support of abortion rights because of what she had been through. She talked to Variety in 2022 about new rules that were making it harder to get an abortion in the United States. The guys doing that, mostly male governors, are so backward, so stupid, and just want power. She told him, I believe it is unlawful. She thought that those laws were an attempt to undo the success that had been made for women, people of color, and LGBTQ people. All her life Sally Field had fought without being seen. As she told the truth, everyone saw how strong she was even though she was hurting inside. A plane crash that might have washed away everything. It was very close for Sally Field to die in 1988. On board MV Griffin's private jet were she, her then-husband Alan Graceman, and their 11-month-old son Sam. Things went badly just as they were about to leave on their trip. The plane lost control right before it tried to take off. It hit another plane that was parked nearby. No one was killed in some way. But it was a very scary event. The plane wasn't destroyed, but it was full of jet fuel. There was enough for everyone on board. People magazine later asked Sally what she was thinking. All I could think was hold on to Sam. I didn't care if I broke every bone in my body. She was afraid she might have hurt her baby Sam in the crash, but they were both okay. It doesn't make sense that the plane didn't go up, and that we're still alive, and I have to live with that feeling. She said that moment haunted her. It wasn't just about surviving, it was about being a mother, a wife, and facing the idea that she could die in seconds. But that wasn't the last painful thing Sally had to face. In the 1960s and 1970s, Sally Field's career and love life were both on the rise. One of the first people to be linked to her was actor Lee Major. At the time both were rising stars and their relationship wasn't widely confirmed, but a report from 1972 said they were together for a while. It was later in Major's song Unknown Stuntman, which was the theme song for his show The Fall Guy, that he bragged, I've been on fire with Sally Field. It wasn't a full confession, but it made people think the story was true. Before that, Pete Duell, who played Sally's brother-in-law on Gig, dated her in 1967. After the show finished, they started dating. In an interview that same year, Sally said, "We're having fun, man. Just fun." And that's so rare on its own. Why can't they just leave it alone? But their story ended tragically when Pete Duell killed himself on December 31, 1971. After many years, Sally told him how much she cared about him in a 2007 video. She said, "I loved Pete. I loved him. I loved him. I loved him. I loved him. Bless him and goddamn him because he's not alive," she said. "He treated me like a sister even though I wanted more than that." In 1968, she had a short relationship with Davy Jones from the Monkees. As Sally said in an old interview, they didn't sleep together but laughed and had a great time together. "We laugh all the time and just goof around," she said. But not everything was fun. Sally later said that some Monkees members made sexual jokes about her on the set of The Flying Nun. She even said that they once cornered her in her trailer and needed an assistant to help her get out. As the years went by, she continued to date, but some of them left scars that she didn't talk about until much later. On that note, Sally still had problems behind closed doors like marriage, motherhood, and moving on. Stephen Craig, Sally's high school sweetheart, wasn't a Hollywood star. He worked in construction, but they stayed together during the early years of her fame. While she was filming The Flying Nun, she got pregnant with their first son, Peter, who was born in November 1969. Their second son, Eli, was born in May 1972. While not much is known about why they divorced in 1975, their son Peter talked about what it was like to grow up with them. "I knew early on that my mother wasn't like other moms. And my father wasn't really like other dads," he said. He said that both of his parents were dramatic and that growing up with them felt impossible. Peter, who was then a writer and married to a poet, said, "I guess this is what happens when you have dramatic parents." Later, Sally married Alan Graceman, the man she was with when the plane crashed in 1988. Their son Sam was born during that marriage. Sally's relationships were never easy. For example, did you know that she almost dated Steven Spielberg in the 1970s? Sally Field wasn't just becoming famous. Steven Spielberg, a young director on the rise, noticed her. In 2023, when she gave Spielberg the Vanguard Award at the Palm Springs Film Awards, Sally told a surprising story. She said they almost went on a date many years ago. "My newly hired business manager wanted me to meet one of his clients because he thought the two of us would really hit it off," she said. The date was set up at Universal Studios, but it never happened. Sally said, "My beloved Steven Spielberg has never left my life." Years later, they worked together on the 2012 movie Lincoln, where Sally played Mary Todd Lincoln. Their friendship stayed strong over the years, and Spielberg praised her in 2022, saying, "She dared this town to stereotype her and broke through every barrier. She made brave and smart choices, and she had a lot of power in Hollywood." But Sally and Spielberg never got together. Her next relationship with Burt Reynolds was all over the news for years and left deep emotional scars. Sally Field met Reynolds while filming Smokey and the Bandit in 1977. She played Carrie, which helped her start a movie career. It was also the start of a long, troubled relationship with Reynolds. They dated on and off through the late 1970s and 1980s, and they even worked together again in Hooper 1978. But their love life wasn't easy. Sally said Burt could be difficult. When she was nominated for an Oscar for Norma Ray, he wouldn't go with her because he really wasn't a nice guy around me then, she said. Sally went to the Oscars by herself and won her first award. Burt died in 2018 after many years of illness. She was the love of his life, and he called her the one who got away. Even so, Sally didn't believe it. She told Variety in 2022, "He wasn't someone I could be around, that he wasn't good for me in any way." She thought Burt was rethinking their relationship and making it sound better than it was. This wasn't the only time Sally had to really think about what love meant. In the early 1980s, Sally Field dated Kevin Kline for a short time. They met after she finished filming Kiss Me Goodbye in 1982. Kline had just finished working on Sophie's Choice with Meryl Streep. Many people thought they would make a great couple, but they only went on a few dates before breaking up.
In an interview in 1984, Sally said, "I don't want to play any role unless it's one I choose to play on screen." She also said, "I don't want to feel like I have to follow anyone else's rules except my own." She was no longer willing to be quiet or put others before herself. Whether she was talking about Klein or Burt Reynolds, it was clear that he was done being the one who gave more. Around the same time, she went on a few dates with Johnny Carson, but that didn't work out either. Sally didn't know how to say no when she wanted to end things, so she told Carson she was having a mental breakdown and was being sent away. Years later, on Watch What Happens Live in 2019, she laughed as she remembered, "The only way I could get out of things was to tell people I had lost my mind." It was a funny story that also showed how hard it had been for her to set limits, but that soon changed. 2 marriages, 2 endings. Sally's first marriage was to Stephen Craig, who she met in high school and fell in love with. They got married in 1968, but he wasn't in Hollywood, he worked in construction. While they were filming The Flying Nun, Sally got pregnant with their first child, Peter, who was born in 1969. When they got divorced in 1975, Sally didn't talk much about it, but her son Peter did talk about growing up with them. "I knew early on that my mother wasn't like other moms and my father wasn't really like other dads," he said in a 1998 interview. He talked about how having dramatic parents had affected many parts of his life. In the early 1980s, Sally met film producer Alan Jamin at a restaurant. They didn't start dating right away. It took them about a year and a half, but once they did, things moved quickly. In 1987, they got married and had their son Sam. However, this marriage did not last either, and by 1994 they were divorced. In an interview in 1996, Sally talked about what went wrong. "I couldn't take it," she said. She started to feel anxious and like their home had lost its joy. "Instead of appreciating what we cared about in each other, we focused on the negative things," she added. Still, they kept their attention on raising Sam together. Kate Capshaw, who was married to Steven Spielberg, once said, "They have such a nice divorce. They are great at co-parenting." Sally didn't give up on love after 2 marriages and a number of high-profile relationships, but she did start to seek solitude and enjoy life by herself. In 1995, Sally showed up in public with a new person for the first time. At the opening of Waterland, she was with Jerry Knight, who worked as a tech in the movie and TV business. She also took him to the Emmys that year, where they smiled and held hands on the red carpet. It didn't last though, just like the last time. This time there was no noise during the split. Once they were no longer together, Sally stopped going out with new people. She put her attention on taking care of her son and working on her acting projects. The news stopped writing about her relationships because there wasn't much to cover. After many years, Sally said she was still happy being single. She talked about it at a Live Talks LA event in 2021. She said she was thinking about all the people she had been with in the past and what she had learned from them. "I'm examining how I would constantly look for love and how I was taught to recognize what love is," she said. "I don't feel seen and loved unless I'm also scared," she said. Then she laughed and said, "Now I don't even try. I'm really happy with how I am, and I really don't want to pick up your underwear in the morning anyway." But not everyone had given up on Sally finding love again. Football star Tom Brady made a joke about her while working on the 2023 movie 80 for Brady. He joked on his podcast that they had a little thing on camera and said, "We really enjoyed our time together, so we'll see where it goes from here." But Sally seemed sure of one thing: she's finally happy with herself, with or without a partner. She's worked with a lot of famous people in her long career, but one of the most touching moments she shared was from her time with Robin Williams. The day Robin Williams stepped in. In 1993, while she was filming Mrs. Doubtfire, something happened that would change her life forever. She was getting ready for a courtroom scene in her camper when she got a call. Her father had died from another massive stroke. He had had a stroke years before and was in a nursing home. Though it was very painful, Field had to take him off of life support. But she went back to work and did her best to keep filming. I was trying with all my might to act, she said. She didn't cry or say a word, but Robin Williams could tell something was wrong. Oh my God, we need to get you out of here right now, he said as she told him what had happened. Robin talked to the crew and made plans for them to shoot the rest of the day without Sally. She was able to go home, call her brother and start making plans for her father's funeral. It's a sensitive and intuitive side of Robin that not many people knew, she said. Robin Williams died in 2014. Sally later said, I feel stunned and so sad about Robin. He was one of a kind and there will never be another one like him. Behind that emotional memory is a woman who was in pain not just from that day but also from a health problem she would later talk about in public. She was fighting a silent disease. In 2005, Sally Field was diagnosed with osteoporosis, a disease of the bones that makes them weak and easy to break. At first she didn't even know she had it. As she talked to WebMD, my bones seemed to be getting steadily thinner without any signs or symptoms I could see or feel. She was over 50, white, thin, small-framed and had a family history of the disease. It was almost a slam dunk, she told Health Day in 2006. Sally didn't keep quiet about her diagnosis. She used her fame to warn other women. In an interview with Oprah, she said, I'm trying to get the message out to women to ask for a bone density test at the same time they go in for a pap smear. She went on to say that most people don't realize how common it is for women over 50 to break a bone because of osteoporosis. Afterward, she began the Rally with Sally for Bone Health campaign to help women learn about the risks and get tested. In Ability magazine, she said that women should be told about their risk and what they can do to protect themselves. She also said that they should get bone density scans at a certain age. Sally couldn't stop the disease even though she ate right, worked out and got enough calcium. Osteoporosis is known as the silent disease because it doesn't show any symptoms until it's too late. She kept fighting, but her condition was just one of many problems that brought her out of the spotlight. She had to accept her age and deal with mean comments. Sally Field, who is now in her late 70s, has chosen to age naturally.